Hello, everyone. So here we are for our third interview, the interview series of Redefining Relationships. Today with us, we have Daria Stan. Hi Daria, thank you for
Hello.
joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I met Daria through developing your passion-based business online group. And we immediately connected, and she gave me amazing tips on parenting. And then Daria went into human design and in no time became a subject matter expert. And so through her, I've learned so much about myself and about the people I relate with. And it's been a really amazing journey, which is still ongoing. We can talk a bit about that, but the main purpose of this interview today is about her own relationship. So this time we're going to do it a bit differently. So Daria, yes, is with one person romantically for a long time. And together we're going to find out how it works and how to keep the magic alive. So Daria, the first thing I want to ask you is, yes, you did marry your high school sweetheart.
Yes, I think now we are 11 years married and together for 16 years, and I'm 34.
Yeah, yeah. What challenges do you face in your marriage?
I think the biggest challenge is actually growing in different directions and accepting that. Because we obviously, both of us evolve, both of us grow up. We met when we were 17. We ended up boyfriend and girlfriend when we were 18. And obviously, since then, a lot has happened. Life has happened. We both grew up. We both got to be adults. We're no longer teenagers. So I think the most difficult part was growing apart and recreating the relationship, growing apart and recreating the relationship.
Interesting. So what was it like, because what's interesting about your story is that most of us, when this happens, the relationship ends. When a relationship ends peacefully, we say, okay, we just grew in different directions, if we are aware enough. People who are not aware, they end up, which I find a lot, blaming and shaming the other or just calling the other narcissist and stuff like that, rather than just accepting that it just you just grew apart. But what's interesting in your story is that you grew apart and reconnected with the same person, because most of us would connect with a different person then who is more aligned with what we're vibrating. What do you think is the reason for this, that you just ended up with the same person over and over again?
The reason for that is, and I keep telling this to other people, is that me and my husband are, before we even got together, so at 17, before we even started our relationship, we were best friends. And that was one thing that was never lost in our relationship. I mean, literally, regardless of how apart we grew, how different our hobbies were, how different our lives was, we could always connect on a best friend type of level. We could always enjoy the same things. We would always enjoy spending time with each other, chatting, watching movies with each other. We have the same tastes in in these kind of things, in this entertainment kind of things. So honestly, even after our worst fights in relationship, the only thing that actually happened was we would stop talking about the fight and enjoy a movie together. So
Okay.
I think what brought us back together after growing apart was the comfort in the fight, the comfort that we had with each other during the growing apart. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. But when you're nothing at all as a couple, what is there? Because it happens. It's not fairy tales. It's not you meet someone and you stay the same forever, because you just don't. And when you say that other people are leaving the relationship when they grow apart, you're not leaving the same person that you ended up with, but that you entered in a relationship with. You're leaving somebody completely different that they grew up as. And you're not living as yourself when you started the relationship. You're living as an evolved version of you. So we are evolving, even me and my husband, and we are growing apart, even me and my husband, but it's a comfort that still brings us together. It's allowing us, yes, allowing the other to grow, not owning one another.
So what happens when this growing apart happens? So is it because of a fight, or is it just you grow, there are too many differences not coming together? What is it? Say, okay, now it's time to grow apart again.
For many, many times, it was just happening. I mean, we wouldn't even notice it only after.
But would it be fighting or just like becoming indifferent towards one another?
It comes first with a coldness. It comes first with a focus on something else. To give you a simple example, my husband has been promoted. I started learning about human design. We both got busy in him accepting his new job, accepting his new titles, growing in that direction, which was completely far from where I was growing. And I was busy studying, so we wouldn't literally have time for one another. The best time we would spend together would be watching a movie, would be shutting our brains off from work, shutting my brain off, and that brought us together. It wasn't the growing that brought us together, it was the release that brought us together. And then after, usually it either ends up in a fight, yes, where we challenge each other, but that's also because he's defined emotionally, I'm not. So whenever something sparks him up, I will amplify that and start the conflict. I'm aware of it now, but I'm still doing it. I can't escape his wave. And it either breaks up in a fight, that after the fight, it lands into a clarity. That's how it feels. It feels a clarity, and it feels like, okay, now I'm here, we both of us acknowledge where the other is, and do we still want to do this? Do we still want to keep this?
Okay.
And the answer so far, it was always yes. It was always obvious, and it usually brings us closer together when we realize where both of us are. It's really restarting the relationship from the new place that we both are.
Okay, so does it happen instantly, or do you spend some time apart and then come back together again?
The time apart happens prior to the
Okay,
fight, to the conflict. We grow slowly apart, and usually the fight happens because we've grown so far that we don't relate anymore, and somebody will start saying, you don't notice me anymore, either me or him. And as the fight happens, and then after the fight, we each basically met it down. Okay, I'm here and you're there. How do we match up? How do we meet up?
Okay. Okay. And when you're apart, do you stay friends, or you just...
No, we're perfectly friends. We're perfectly friends, and we're letting go of all the problems that each of we're best friends. I can describe it as best friends, not exactly in a relationship. Even my son described it like this because he had many of his friends' parents separate. And he asked me, Mom, why can't they just do like you and Daddy?
Be friends, yeah. Just
Yeah,
be
just be
friends.
friends and then
Uh-huh.
connect again. Why can't they just do that?
Yeah,
Because for
yeah.
him, it's a normal. For him, it's a normal to see us connect at just friends level and then reconnect again and hold hands and be all romantic. I I think it's the expectation that people have that that romantic phase is forever that's causing the problem. It's fine to let it go and it's fine to move back into it. It's fine to allow it to be a wave because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Okay, okay, okay. Interesting. Yeah, for me, uh, I was married for 11 years. And the moment I knew that we need to grow apart and lead different lives is that there was an indifference then towards him. I just did not feel anything towards him at all anymore. And then I kind of tuned into my intuition. I said, listen, do I see a common path for me and him in the future? And the answer was no. So I just decided. But I think in my case, what happened was that I was so buried in my conditioning that I chose a partner from that place of conditioning, not from my natural self. And now that I'm healed from most of it, now I am looking to relate in a new way and with people who are more resonating with where I am at the moment. So what I see in your case is that you have managed to grow and evolve together and stay together on the same path, which is really beautiful.
Probably it also had to do with the fact that our marriage was not a fairy tale decision. It was not we fell in love,
Mm,
we got married.
like the Hollywood movies type and
Exactly. We were 5 years together, and our marriage was a decision. On our wedding invitations, it was said that I married my best friend. We went through a lot together during the 5 years we were together and not married, to know that even when we're not apart, we broke up several times in those 5 years. Even when not together, we're still best friends. Even when not together, we seek each other's company.
Okay.
And that's why I decided to marry him, because yeah, you're not always in love, but if you enjoy the other person's company truly, then it's okay, it's safe, you're gonna always want to stay next to that person.
Was there a time when you were broken up when you just did not connect at all, or were you always either friends or romantic partners?
We were always either friends or romantic partners.
Really nice, really nice. Okay, next question. How do you stay your sovereign self while in a relationship?
That's really hard, because I think the most part of conditioning on that doesn't come from my husband, and his conditioning doesn't come from me. It comes from the expectation of society of what a husband should look like and what a wife should look like. We don't carry those expectations in us, but obviously when we are faced with them, whether through our parents or through our friends who are married or other type of interactions, we do struggle with it, especially because we don't relate to them. I don't know how many times his mom told me, why do you let him get tattoos? She knows I don't like tattoos. My husband is full of tattoos.
Mhm.
And she is asking me, why do I allow it? And I'm like, it's not my body to decide. It's not me. I can't decide for him. He's free to do whatever he wants to do, just like I'm free to do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we relate to that. Also, expectations around, I don't know, how husband and wife, who's providing, who's cleaning, who's taking care of the kids, these kind of things. Again, they're projected on us a lot, a lot. You should be waiting for him with a warm meal. He's working in a restaurant. He's coming. He's coming in with a warm meal. uh, or all kinds of things. But what we decided was the only way to let go of them is when something bothers you, say it. Or when something bothers you, do something about it.
So that's the thing. You need to stay connected with yourself.
Yes.
Often I see many cases where I'm one of them. I always had this pattern where when I'm in a relationship, I just forget about myself, and I still catch myself doing it sometimes, and just tune into the needs of my partner. So it's important to stay attuned with ourselves, to know what we want, to know what our boundaries are, and to communicate. In what ways do you do that?
That's the thing. It's very, very important to be able to speak what you need.
But in case I didn't even know what I needed because I
we
was
went
just giving myself away.
we went as a couple right before we got married. I think we were 1 year into the marriage, to a non-violent communication course for couples, which was invited very badly for our family. Do you communicate aggressively? Do you need something like this? But obviously it wasn't because we communicate aggressively. It was because we were trying to learn how to communicate empathically. It's not always learning because you want to fix something. It's sometimes learning because you don't want to go on a wrong path to start with. And even though he's the emotional person, he bottles up emotions much more than me. Again, social conditioning of men. But I think that being able to say what you want, being able to say where you are, I'm stressed, I can't talk about this right now, I can't be present right now, and allowing, not taking offense, it's very important, because other people might need just space, and that's fine. It doesn't mean they outcast you. When he's stressed and when he can't talk about it because of work related problems, I won't interfere with him. I will just propose a movie, propose a way to unwind and spend time together in a different way, not force things out. But at the same time, if he doesn't speak about it, if he doesn't tell me I can't do this right now, I would never know. So it's important to have each other speak your needs. If not able to speak your emotion, at least speak your needs. If your need is for space, if your need is for silence, if your need is for whatever it might be.
Yeah, so it's about being in tune with your body and your needs. So I believe it's also important to spend time with yourself so that you know, right? What you need, what is happening inside of you. So how does that work for you guys? Like, how do you give each other time for yourselves?
Again, he needs much more time for himself than I do. He's a hermit
I see.
in his human design profile. And he needs much more time alone than I do. And that came as a challenge, especially when we moved in Malta and we only had each other. I needed a connection and he needed time alone. So that came as a conflict. And that's when I realized that he's not the only one who can fulfill my needs for contact. I can get my needs filled with friendships. I can get my needs filled outside of the relationship while maintaining the comfort of the relationship, not putting the responsibility of my needs onto him. Just like he's not putting the responsibility of his needs onto me. He might be stating them, I might be stating them, but we're not holding each other responsible to meet them.
Exactly. Great. Yeah, this has been an amazing discussion. Just one last thing I'd like to ask. What about attachment? How does that show up for you, and how do you deal with it?
Attachment is an interesting thing because, well, I work a lot with attachment with children. So
Mhm.
I see it. I see how it forms. I see how it happens. And the thing is, we both come from families that had very, very insecure attachments.
Codependency and
Codependency, yeah. Both of our families are the prototype of codependent relationships. And we still carry the projections of it. Our mothers on both sides are still highly codependent and still try to make us dependent on us, on them. And it the whole insecure attachment hypes up
Mhm.
when they are around, when we visit them or when they are coming here. And we realize all our problems there. We are very triggered, very easily triggered. Usually conflicts happen around those times. And it is because we are suddenly afraid of how our relationship might be judged of not being close enough,
Mm, 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 mm.
not being, I don't know, dependent enough on each other,
Mhm,
not
mhm,
being reliant enough on each other. They are expecting, everyone is expecting that a relationship should rely on each other fully. And we rely to each other to a certain extent, but not fully.
mhm, mhm,
So when we are triggered into those patterns of control, of unsecure attachment, of clinging, we usually respond very badly, and that we both have the same the same response. We both pull apart, we both move away. Our insecure attachment is the runner for both sides. None of us are the chaser, and I think in one way that's why it works, because we both pull apart at the same time and we allow each other the time apart, and then when it all clears down, we have somewhere to go back to.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. So it's about allowing and being present with what comes up and learning the lessons, right?
It's we tried, honestly, we tried fighting against it and it didn't work. And as
Okay.
soon as we allowed it, and even with the moms, we just surrender to it. When they come here, we'll just let them do their thing and then clean up and fix everything, even home wise or relationship wise. After they leave, we
Mhm.
don't no longer pose the resistance, because that's what it was hard, that's what it was causing conflicts, resisting to the attachment that we had.
Because when you were getting triggered, according to the mirror law, there is something inside of you which needs to be resolved still. And once you resolve it, you remain unaffected by these things, actually. So, and your reality changes. So so I would say these things are opportunities actually to grow
Yes,
further. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yes, and for me it's just a matter of accepting and surrendering. I mean, as I said, it's not fairy tales. You're always going to grow apart, and it's a everlasting choice. Do we still want to move forward? Are we still recreating the relationship from this new place we're at?
Mm, mm.
It's a constant choice. It's never, and yeah, it's I choose you every time. It's not I chose you then and we're for life.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so it all boils down like relating moment by moment, which I find like, so whether you're with the same person or starting over with someone else, it's about recreating moment by moment, which is what life is all about, you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's also, from my point of view, it's also letting go of the expectations. And when you meet someone, it's going to be perfect, because it's never going to be perfect.
And that it's going to be forever as well, you know, like
Yes.
this notion that nothing really lasts forever. That's the thing. Everything changes all the time. So we need to be okay with that.
Even if you are with the same person like I am for 16 years, you're not with the same person for 16
That's
years. We changed at least 5 times, at least, that I can clearly pinpoint.
5 times. That's a lot. Amazing, amazing. Wow, nice. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close off?
Uh, I just want to mention that even though I dived so deep in human design, my husband has no idea of it. My husband doesn't even know his type or his authority. And that's the level of letting go. I don't need him to get into it. I don't need him to know. Just like I don't need him to respect that I don't like tattoos. It's his body. And it's my mission to learn human design. He will get into it when he's ready. And who knows, I might get a tattoo when I'm ready.
A small
But
one, maybe.
yes, but it's not about having the other join your journey. It's about letting them be on theirs while you are on yours.
That's a very, very good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. So Daria, thank you so, so much for being with us today and
Thank you for having me again. Yeah.
good Christmas cheer. I see the Christmas tree in the background. Yeah, and take good care and wishing you a beautiful day.
Same to you. Same to you.
Bye.
Bye bye.